computers that are connected together. The architectural model is the computational and communicational elements that connect these and so on. Fundamental models are the interaction models, which is the sequence of the actions. The failure model, which is the failure of the failure recovery model, and the security of the distributed system. But we are primarily looking at the architectural models. I told you about the client and server. The client will ask for some service from the server, and the server will provide it. It is an invocation. I told you about a peer-to-peer architecture, which is nothing like the Snapster, where everybody is a server, everybody is a client, everybody has got shareable applications or objects, and anybody and everybody can share at will. Then I told you about this is another thing where servers are collaborative or connected together. They'll act like a super server. It's like a high performance computer, and they combinedly they give you services. Then there can be a 3-tier architecture where you are not directly connected to a server like a web server. Through the web server, you don't directly connect to it. You go through a proxy. This essentially is a 3-tier architecture. There is one client cannot directly go to the web server. Through a proxy only they go through the web server. Then applets, which are local code. When you are looking at going to a web server, you are taking the applet code, you are executing these simple Java applet programs within your computer, and you interact with the applet and you get some visual graphics or so on and so forth. This I told you 2-tier and 3-tier. And finally, thin clients. Thin client will have no hardware, less software, less operating system, less resources. But through the cloud or through another network, it connects to the server. So you don't need to spend money on servers. This is what I covered. Today, I'm just going to take two small topics. One is what is communicating and how are they communicating. So I told you distributed systems means they could be the nodes or the computers. They could be processes within the computers. They could be objects. If you take object-oriented programming, it could be objects within the nodes or computers. It could be components within the computer. It could be web services within the computer. So these are the kind of entities that are communicating within a system, within a system. And how are they communicating? They are using all the things that we studied in the modes that we studied in operating system. They are doing IPC or inter-process communication using message passing interfaces, sockets, broadcast or multicast, where all the packets are sent to everybody. They are also communicating through remote invocation. We have already seen remote procedure call in operating system. They are using RMI interfaces, remote invocation, and so on. And there are also indirect methods, like group communication, message queues, and so on. So these are the methods by which they communicate, the communicating entities and the communication paradigms. The last topic for today I am going to take is very simple: synchronous distributed systems and asynchronous distributed systems. So as the name suggests, a synchronous distributed system is one where there is a bound for every process to happen. So we have already seen in operating system, when we learned process synchronization and all, there is something called starvation and all. Starvation means you're always waiting. So those kind of things we have already seen, when we saw deadlocks, some processes go on waiting forever. They are starved, like that we have seen. So same way, in a synchronous distributed system, there is an upper bound and a lower bound for executing every process or sub-process. So that means if some sub-process or process or message has to be executed, some process has to be executed and a message has to be transmitted, there is an upper bound and a lower bound for these, right? There is a lower bound and upper bound of things that are there for this distributed system. This is the example of synchronous distributed system. In an asynchronous distributed system, which are mostly common, which is the internet is like that. Internet is an asynchronous. Mostly all distributed systems tend to be asynchronous. Here it's very different. One process may take a picosecond to execute, another may take a century. All processes execute at their own will and at their own resources and at their own constraints. So there is no global clock. There is no local clock for the process. All processes are independent. See, I send a mail to you. I may send it today. You may open it only tomorrow. You may not open it immediately. Sometimes I send a message to you. You may get it in 1 second. Sometimes you may get it after 1 day. Many a time these things happen, that, I'm sending an email, but because of some network congestion or something like that, you get the message after a day. So these kind of message transmission delays happen in this network. So mostly all these distributed systems are asynchronous. There is no clock for the process. They happen according to their network, according to their process, according to their activities and so on. So that is the two types of distributed systems that we know. So that's all for today. I will close for today. Maybe next week end or something. I'm planning to do a kind of a quiz. So you please start studying for that. The course material is there and so on. So what is the strength of your class?
44,
what is the
sir.
strength? Huh?
44.
One person is absent. Who is that? Okay, I have to take attendance this way. Okay. Abhilash, Akash, Amit.